Those are the latest GB News headlines for now. I'm Sophie Reaper, and now it's back to Andrew.
For the very latest GB News direct to your smartphone, sign up to News Alerts by scanning the QR code or go to gbnews.com/alerts.
Hello and welcome to Headliners. It's your first look at Wednesday's top news stories with three comedians. So let's have a quick look at what Josh and Carey will have to deal with on Wednesday's front pages. We've got the Daily Mail, which is running with Church in crisis as Welby forced to quit. The Eye has got Brown's warning to Starmer. Benefit cap is trapping families in poverty. And the Daily Telegraph writer in Kafkaesque hate crime inquiry. The Daily Express is leading with my profound sense of shame at church failings. That's the Welby story again. And the Metro also with the Welby story. Welby quits in shame. And the Daily Star goes a bit rogue. They've got proof that the Loch Ness Monster actually exists. So we're going to kick this one off. Josh, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you? You just come from a gig?
I've just been doing a gig, yeah.
Being funny?
I was hilarious.
That's it. People don't know that about you. They just think you're this, like, intellectual who writes books and all of that. But actually, you're also a comedian.
There we go.
There it is.
They should have come to
a
see
man
the
of many
The secret's out.
I know.
Yes. People know now. I mean, they'll expect more from you.
I was a comedian first before I got dragged into this stuff.
Yeah, but you've always been, like, clever. You've been one of those clever blokes. Come on.
Now, look, let's have a look at the front cover of the Telegraph.
Yes, so it's all the papers are focusing on Welby, but this is a huge story, ramifications for actually our lives. So Allison Pearson, friend of the channel, very fine writer, and I agree with most things that she says and her opinions. Basically, woke up Remembrance Sunday, and the police were there, and they said, "Oh, we've come here because you wrote a tweet," and then she was like, "Well, what tweet?" And they were like, "Oh no, we can't tell you." and then...
So she woke up in East Berlin.
Yes, essentially.
Apparently. I mean, this is... The headline talks about how it's a Kafkaesque hate crime inquiry, and it absolutely is. If people have read the trial, they will know it's about a character who is on trial for something he hasn't... They don't tell him.
Well, she said, who accused me? She said, no, they're not accused, they're the victim.
But we can't tell you what you're accused of.
Yeah.
And even that phrase, the victim, it's completely bypassing due process.
Yeah.
This is terrifying stuff.
It's scary because she's got a big profile, right?
Yeah.
If this can happen to her, what's it like for normal people? Like, I mean, not you, but me.
Well, we always thought that we might be protected to a degree, right?
To a degree, and...
It's like when they go after people who write jokes online that cause offence. They never go for professional comedians who do the same sort of jokes, sometimes the exact same jokes.
Yeah.
And you feel like there's a sheen of protection. But actually, Carey...
I'm still getting away with it.
You are very much getting away with it.
Absolutely. But I think they've either got to stop doing this or be consistent. You know, if you're going to go after every nasty tweet, then Owen Jones should have been arrested over and over again.
Well, how about we just don't do it at all?
I'll approve of it a little bit.
Yeah, but that's a personal gripe. Don't you think...
No, there's plenty to agree with me.
I think Allison Pearson would gladly go to jail if Owen Jones went to jail.
I think
I think that would be a sacrifice that she'd be willing to be paid.
These are all about the non-hate, or the non-crime hate incidents, which no one's really sure what any of that means anyway, and often it's just being gender critical, etc.
Well, they've said racist in this case.
Well, in this case, they're actually saying it's not a non-crime hate incident.
But they're not telling her what it is.
No, but what we know is it's not one of those incidents.
I don't think
that leaves a lot to guess about.
But we're not allowed to do this. I mean, my understanding is the police cannot...
I thought they had to tell you.
They have to tell you, surely. But this kind of thing's happening more often. As I say, not a non-crime... I mean, the fact that we even have non-crime hate incidents is incredible to begin with.
It started happening a lot in America, you know, with I think it was Title IX or something, was it? In the universities, where you could be accused of something, you didn't have any right to find out who accused you, what you're accused of or anything. And then
lots of lawsuits.
Loads of lawsuits happening now, to overturn them.
So what do we do about this, Josh? I mean, the thing is, no government has ever dealt with this, OK? So we've had the Conservative governments. It all happened...
Well, it came under then. So Suella Braverman came in and said, no, stop this.
Yeah.
And they didn't listen. The police forces just kind of ignored her. They're doing more of these charges than ever before.
Right.
And now you've got a Labour government. It's obviously, it seems like it's getting worse, or it will certainly potentially get worse.
If you guess your crime right, do they have to tell you?
Maybe it's like a
quiz. You like that game.
Yeah. Maybe they're just having a bit of fun.
Yeah, totally.
Do you think Kemi Badenoch could deal with this? I mean, but the real problem with all this is the College of Policing, which is now an activist body, effectively, that invented non-crime hate incidents. There was no mandate from above. The government didn't tell them to do it. The government repeatedly told them to get rid of them. 2 successive Home Secretaries said, you can't do this. A High Court ruled it wasn't lawful.
Yep.
And the police are still doing it. They don't care. They're the Gestapo.
As far as what Badenoch would do, I think she'll laugh this out of process as soon as she gets in, wouldn't you?
Yeah, absolutely. But when you also... It's an easy win for them. You see, they've got their little... They can go on Twitter and go, oh, I don't like that, and we're going to sort that out. Whereas there are some stories we've got coming up about their ineffectual dealing with actual crime,
I just can't see the public, though, supporting the idea of mysterious accusations.
No, but some people do. That's the crazy thing. Some people go, well, she must deserve it. Until, of course, it happens to them.
Whilst it's working for them, yeah, exactly.
Well, if Kemi is watching, I'm going to give us a bit of advice. Let's scrap the College of Policing. Just get rid of it. It's not fit for purpose. Let's move on to the front cover of the Mirror. Kerry, what are they running with?
What's the Mirror got? Well, this is the big story now, is... of course, the Archbishop of Canterbury, who has resigned. He hasn't been forced out exactly, but
because he's a good man. He's a good man.
Well, there are people saying that. There are people saying he's done the honourable thing, but there's nothing very honourable about this whole story, is there? I mean, he knew about these accusations back in 2013. It's not like you can really say those were different times. It's just not far enough back.
He's put his hands up and he said, I should have insisted on a more rigorous investigation at the time. Lots of people saying he must have known back in the 80s because he worked very closely with this guy, this John Smythe, sex abuser.
Sent him Christmas cards.
Yeah. But on the other hand, it's not, I don't think it's fair to say he must have known. I don't think that's right.
Well, no, but I would just like to say that I have never sent a Christmas card to a paedophile.
Knowingly?
Well, I just have never sent a Christmas card, so...
Well, then that's the way to avoid it. Do you think, though, I mean, he has held his hand up, but you know, there wasn't... Surely at this point...
But what was he holding in his other hand?
A bag of Snickers. I don't know. Listen, but don't you think that he has no choice at this point?
Yes,
because he's admitted it.
Yes, he has no choice, of course. But this, what he didn't admit it. A report came out that found that they had basically, messed up with him. What does it say here? Mishandled abuse allegations. So this is a report that came out. If this report hadn't come out, I don't think he'd be putting his hands up then. And then all these people sort of tweeting, oh, he's a really good guy, and I've worked with him and he's honest and integral and all of this stuff. Well, you don't mess up really worse than mishandling a paedophile case.
Well, especially when you're supposed to be guiding the country on spirituality and morality.
Yeah.
Exactly. Those are your key
and be such a hypocrite about all these other issues. It's
we do have to distance him from the crimes insofar as he didn't commit those crimes.
I think it is a crime if you know about a crime.
No, but I don't think he knew about the crime.
We don't know.
He didn't know about the crime. What he didn't do is he didn't vigorously enough insist that the prosecution and investigation or the investigation happened. That's the distinction.
Well, I don't know if there's much of a distinction there. I mean, we could say that so we don't get sued, but at the same time, you're in charge and there's some dodgy stuff going on and you're not dealing with it.
Yeah, he should clearly have had this investigated. I mean, there's no... I think it's a no-brainer.
Well, he must have known something. He knew there were accusations, right?
He knew there were... Well, that's what he says, yeah. He said it, yeah.
Well, that's enough to go to the police with, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you would have thought so.
Personally, I would think so.
Anyway, so he's going to, potentially lose his seat in the House of Lords and
they're going to get a replacement.
Well, this is what we're going to cover next story.
We'll cover that
move on.
later.
No, let's do it right now.
You want to do it right now?
Yeah, let's go to the Mail.
So the Daily Mail, who's got this?
Me. And that's what I'm going to talk about. I'm going to talk about who's going to replace him.
So slick. Unbelievable.
Church in crisis as well be forced to quit. There's a lot of... the people nominated all have something in common, apart from being Christian.
Your Mail?
That's a big one, though.
Yeah, so let me see if you can guess what the sort of common factor is, OK? You've got Reverend Graham Usher. He focuses on climate action. You've got Dr. Julie Francis...
Oh, is it Julie, not Gooley?
Gooley, anyway, Gooley.
No, I thought it was Gooley.
It turns out that's a woman. She focuses on immigration and diversity and multiculturalism. Then you've got Martin Snow. He is all about building relationships with different religious communities. You've got Michael Beasley. He's all about health-related stuff. So basically, they all... There's a common umbrella there, and it ain't Christianity.
Are any of them interested in Jesus and his teachings? I think that should probably...
You are so old-fashioned.
Actually, Jesus is number 6.
Jesus is there.
Jesus up there.
So they're all basically woke activists. But, Welby was a bit of a woke activist himself.
Yes, he was. He did lean that way, yeah.
Do you think that the, leading religious figures should be getting involved in politics?
Well, OK, I do think religion has to modernise and stick to the times, and obviously things change. So, yeah, to an extent, but not necessarily to the extent that it is going on. I think they have an area that they cover. But this is all happening, deciding, I guess we're talking a lot about what their role is in the country generally, because this is happening whilst the Commons have been discussing the bill for removing bishops from the Lords.
Well, we should have
which
separation.
They've been overwhelmingly voted down on.
Well, we should have separation of church and state. You know,
yes,
why do you have
people,
bishops sitting in the House of Lords just because they're bishops?
Well, it's along with the whole hereditary peers thing anyway, of whether they should be removed.
And how does it work? Do they sort of... is it like black smoke, white smoke?
I like all that because that's quite dramatic. The Catholics know how to do drama.
Yeah, maybe
I think there should be like a leadership debate of bishops now, where an audience get to ask some questions like, how would you react if you found out someone was committing paedophilia? Would you mention it to the police or send them to another country? That kind of question.
Or just have them in an arena like gladiators.
That'd be an interesting
That'd be great.
idea.
You know, stripped to the waist.
And they've got the pointy hats. They could charge at each other.
Can we arrange this on GBNews as a special,
I think we would.
special evening?
Do you know what? I would love that. I would definitely watch that show. But it's interesting that they're going for that kind of super... I mean, because recently the Church of England has been talking about, let's have reparations, let's spend millions and millions of pounds. I mean, these are woke causes. They're nothing to do with the gospel.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's just get back to some core morality.
Yeah, absolutely. OK, well, let's move on to the Times. Unless there's anything else on the front of the Mail you wanted to cover.
Well, there is a little thing about the real reason BBC parted with Gary Lineker.
What is that?
It's because he's just
insufferable.
Yes,
he's such a total one.
So we don't know is the real.
Well,
reason.
I think that they were probably not happy with some of his political pronouncements.
OK.
Because about things he knows really very little about.
Another one who can't keep to his lane, isn't it, really?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Talk about football.
Yeah.
Whereas we only talk about things that we are experts in.
Exactly. I don't go and talk to you about football, do I, Gary Lineker and crisps?
No, we talk about the Church of England. And we are rigorously theologically trained before we do this show.
OK, you've got a point there.
What about the Times? The Times, have there anything different on the Times? They're going with the Welby story as well, of course. But they're also saying Britain must eat less meat.
Yes.
To hit Starmer climate change.
Yeah, it's not much of a story. It's just someone at the COP decided that if we eat less meat, it will help stop climate change, and Starmer has quite correctly said no.
Yeah. Well, that's it. I mean, it feels like
what it comes down to.
But it does feel like they're trying to conflate that story. Like, there's a lot of these sort of conspiracies. If Labour gets in, they're going to stop us eating meat and whatever. Now,
is that a conspiracy?
Yeah, no, there's genuine people there. We're going to eat cockroaches and all of this stuff.
Heard.
Yeah, but the point is, he has said, or he has committed to cutting down 81% or something by 2035.
Right.
Our output, our pollution, but. This is people at that conference saying, well, the only way to do that is to not travel and to eat less meat. And he's gone, no. We could do it without altering...
We could stay still and eat more meat.
Our lives anyway. We just have to pay lots of money for it.
What's all this about, Kerry? The Sun, it's all kicking off, which is a very dramatic headline.
I think this is just more on Lineker, isn't it?
Is it?
No, it's a replacement.
It's a replacement, yes.
Who's his replacement?
We've got a replacement of bishops going on. We've got
a replacement
mix it up. Of football pundits.
Maybe Lineker should be Archbishop of Canterbury.
That would be very...
Swap them round would be very interesting. It's a genius idea.
Well, it's all about, is there going to be a female TV pundit?
Is that the female one on the left?
Well, you can't tell nowadays, can you?
Oh, no. Well, interesting. I don't know anything about football or care.
No.
But, you know... Good
I'd prefer it to be a female.
Would you?
Yeah.
Why?
Just for fitness.
What do you mean by that?
I just don't...
I hope you're not objectifying women on this programme.
I'm massively objectifying.
Reverse sexism. Which type of sexism are you doing?
I don't know, but I like it.
I don't. I abhor all forms of sexism. Speaking of sexism, the front cover of The Star has a picture of the Loch Ness Monster.
Yeah. Apparently, giant plesiosaurus, like the Loch Ness Monster, but not like the Loch Ness Monster, will be found swimming in our uncharted oceans in the next few years. So basically they're saying there are dinosaur bones in the sea, which there are.
Yeah, of course there are.
I mean, obviously there are. It'd be ridiculous if they went, no, let's all die on land.
I don't think we're going to find them, though, because what's happening is the water keeps on going up.
Yeah.
And it's getting further away from us.
So we're never going to dig that. Yeah. It's hard to dig through water, isn't it?
So why are the boffins in The Star saying they've got proof of the Loch Ness Monster?
They're saying there will be. I think there's only a tiny bit of the story, but I think they're saying that there will be more bones found in the sea, which obviously there will be, and then they're suggesting that therefore we're going to find Welby's coming up close, right? Therefore we're going to find Nessie when this has nothing to do with Nessie. It's one of these stretches from something which is obviously true.
But this is not good enough. It says on the headline, Nessie, the proof.
Yes.
I want to see the proof.
Yeah.
Where is your proof of the Loch Ness Monster?
And I like that this is the story that's got you most motivated.
It's annoying.
Yeah, than everything else.
Because let's have a leadership.
I'm sorry. Journalistically, you can't say we've got the proof and then not provide it.
I love how you're holding the Daily Starter account here. This is exactly the kind of democratic show that.
And I know that Josh really wants to get to this story.
Oh, we're going to get to that.
Baldies are the very best-looking people in the whole world.
We will get to that later on. Hey, don't you worry. That is going to be a big feature coming up.
No, it's just not true.
Well, we'll find out, won't we? Well, please come back in a minute. We're going to find out why Italy's version of Rwanda has failed, and will Trump go to jail? This is Headliners.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
Love a bit of baking and share some hot tips. We're delighted to be joined by our baking extraordinaire, Matty Edgell, who won Great British Bake Off last year. Woo! Welcome. Congratulations as well. I'm sure you're sick of being congratulated.
And there's Matty Minder.
No, you like all the glory.
Yeah.
What was it like winning the Great British Bake Off? What's last year been like for you?
Winning it was I was not expecting to win. At any point until they said my name.
You're a very
it was a
humble
nice
guy.
surprise. No, I was just
really
in touch with reality. I wasn't.
Was it quite a close race throughout then?
Yeah, I considered myself the underdog throughout. I think the first week I turned around after the showstopper and kind of saw how good everyone was, and then looked at mine and thought, how have I got here? And that kind of theme followed through.
But then that's really like an underdog.
Yeah, it did.
Actually, I'm going to get better throughout this.
Yeah, I think it made me kind of like really tune into the feedback that they was giving me and trying to embed that throughout. So that's probably why.
Could you feel yourself improving as the series went on?
Definitely, and I think also like kind of simultaneously my confidence improved at the same time, and then that like little bit of belief in myself probably helped out as well.
What was your strength? Biscuits, cake, bread?
I think cake's my strength.
Cake.
I think cake, typically if you start baking, that's probably where you start, isn't it? So that was what I knew most.
How did you start baking?
I've been asked this so many times since...
You don't know?
I attribute it to my nan.
Sweet.
But yeah, I would say, I think most people probably attribute it to like a grandparent or something that they maybe done with like their parents when they was growing up. So I'll give it to my nan.
Or the major lockdown baking boom.
Yeah, banana bread.
Everybody,
all over the place, isn't it? It's good.
Yeah, it's really good. I love a banana bread, even now.
GB News, the People's Channel.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
If you want your news to be straight talking...
This is a nightmare for the Conservatives again.
Down to earth.
It's not just Nottingham where this is happening, is it?
And most importantly, honest.
Hard-working, middle-class taxpayers, they'll get their book thrown at them.
Then catch me, Martin Daubney, Monday to Friday, 3 till 6 p.m. on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Every Saturday, 10 till 12, we'll bring you all of the news that you need to know. We'll also remind you that there is so much to smile about.
It's my favourite time of the week. I get to relax, enjoy some light-hearted stories, and let Ellie teach me about fashion too.
That's Saturday Morning Live, every Saturday, 10 till 12.
Only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Headliners, your first look at Wednesday's newspapers. I'm Andrew Doyle, still joined here by Josh Howie and Kerry Marks. Did we get any tweets or responses in the break?
There is one I've just seen here, which is from Jax, who's one of our regular viewers who enjoys the show, watches all the time and always criticises everything I'm wearing.
Fair enough.
You can't criticise that. It's just plain black. It's stylish.
No, she still manages to. She says I should wear a blue T-shirt rather than black. I'll read this properly and study it later on.
I know, but it's her birthday.
Her latest tips. But it's actually her birthday on the 16th of November. But happy birthday. Which camera am I on?
She'll hear you anyway.
Happy birthday, Jax. And whilst I'm on it, can I mention my brother's birthday today?
No!
Yes, I'm going to. Richard, I promised him.
Oh, too much.
Hey, happy birthday, Richard.
Happy birthday, Richard.
I know all the Marks family are like massive fans of the show.
Are they?
His sister. Hello.
Well, that's lovely, but we
and
don't...
my brother, that's not all of them, but, there's more,
Right,
actually.
enough shout-outs. This isn't going live, OK? But do chip in with your comments. So that's gbnews.com/your say. Any comments on the stories, ideally, rather than birthdays.
Yeah, not your birthdays.
No, not your birthdays. OK, so the Express now, Kerry. Good news for the Tories, just a few months too late.
Yeah, they're saying it's a huge boost for Kemi Badenoch as first poll of leadership shows Tories beating Labour. I'm not sure it's a huge boost, but it's something of a boost. It means something, getting a boost, but not a great deal, of course. And you do expect the Shadow Party, to be fair, to be more popular than the incumbent party. But also, I do think that after the election, we've just seen how much faith we're really putting in polls right now. I'm not quite sure.
Well, they haven't been right for a long time, have they?
Well, I'm wondering whether we should have a poll of polls, really, and see how popular they are at any one time, and then get them back a little bit. But
I mean, obviously, Starmer hasn't done particularly well.
His popularity is now at minus... Oh, it's gone from minus 30 to minus 25. Yeah. So he's not become popular, but he's become less popular.
Yeah, so he's less not popular.
He's less not popular.
That's an achievement.
That's an achievement, isn't it? I think it's...
So he's at minus 25, she's at minus 3.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know who she is yet. And I think that the more people... 1 in 3 voters say they are familiar, which obviously suggests that 6 in 10 don't. Anyway, the point is that as people get to see her more, I think that she will become very popular.
Because she's likeable.
She is likeable, but she's a very clear communicator.
Yeah. Very interesting. OK, well, let's move on to this one. This is The Telegraph. Another British record set. Kerry, we're smashing it.
We are smashing it, yes. Britain employs record 7 million foreign-born workers.
Yippee!
Well done, us! Woohoo! Fireworks, champagne. Basically, what this story is about is if you want to get a job in the UK, you need to be born elsewhere. Basically, what's going on. What it is the jobs for people born elsewhere have increased and jobs for people born in the UK have decreased.
And why is that, Kev?
Immigration, because we've had a large amount of immigration coming into the country, which has changed everything, and it's been changed particularly since COVID, which is odd because I thought that was a clear bad advert for coming here. We had more cases than most countries, a lot of people dying, hospitals were overfilled apparently, and we kept saying that for nearly 2 years. You would have thought it would have put people off, but everyone said that sounds great.
So is it that, or is it that?
Well, there's British a workless. So there's more British people in long-term unemployment.
Yes, why?
Well, they're saying that it's mental health issues, long COVID, ADHD, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And this is what this government is, and to be fair, the last government were trying to fix or sort out. They're acknowledging there's a problem there. That's costing a huge amount in welfare benefits.
Yes.
But this is, 7 million people as working here. It's become... The idea is that there's this idea, it's a sort of Ponzi scheme where you can sort of see the economy is growing, but actually it's not benefiting people.
Right.
There's an interesting side effect here, and I don't know if anybody's really talked about it, about the leaving the EU, which I don't know if people like Nigel Farage necessarily counted, but because of that and because of needing a workforce, that workforce has now been looked to elsewhere outside of the EU.
But surely we should be able to develop skills here as well, rather than rely... I mean, I think I've got nothing against workers coming over from other countries, of course not. But
we just want to chill out here.
Well, maybe that's all it is.
The British people, we just want to chill.
We did get used to chilling out during the pandemic. Maybe we just don't want to work anymore.
More of that, please.
You enjoyed it, did you?
Yeah, and I realised I could take a few months off myself, but I need a whole country to do it with me.
Yeah.
That's the only way I can really enjoy time off now ever since then.
Well, it's like when the minister said you were only allowed to walk 2 hours a day, and I thought they meant you had to walk 2 hours a day. So I was walking every day, like big long walks. It was really good for me.
Yeah, everyone was talking about you.
They were. Well, they should have been.
You were just coughing all over the place, weren't you?
I was.
On your big long walks.
OK, let's move on to the Times now. Is Maloney talking baloney?
Yes, blow for Maloney. Albania plan as migrants set back to Italy.
How did that happen?
Well, this is it. Everyone was going, Rwanda here. It was held up in the courts and it didn't get pushed through because of the ECHR. But this isn't the ECHR. This is the ECJ, the European Court of Justice, which is different.
Yes.
And this is also Italian judges have basically ruled that the reason is that some of those countries that they would eventually be sent back to, in this case mostly from Egypt and Bangladesh, aren't safe. So it's not that most of the country's safe, but because there are some regions that they might judge to be not safe, that's enough, which is a similar thing they used for the Rwanda plan, or to put the kibosh on that.
But should shame the country, shouldn't it? Saying it's like the whole of your country is considered unsafe now.
Well, the idea that any country is perfect, I think you could probably argue that there are parts of the UK that aren't safe.
But hang on a minute. I mean, you've made a very clear distinction here between the EU Court of Justice, which is what this is, and the ECHR, which predates the EU. But in both cases, what you have is a foreign judge or a foreign court effectively dictating your migration policy.
Yeah.
That can't be good, can it?
No, it can't be good. But this is Italian judges sort of guessing what the ECJ are going to say, if that makes sense.
Or the Court of Justice.
Yeah, exactly. So
they're still, I mean, it does feel still like an impediment, doesn't it?
No, it does feel impediment, but it's also an impediment from their own, against what the government wishes to do.
But it just feels like every time someone tries to actually resolve this, someone else steps in and says, no, you can't. And, that's the problem.
The bureaucracy is an absolute stop, isn't it, on whatever they do. I think it's time we said to these judges, OK, what can we do?
Yeah, why don't they go to your house?
Come up with some ideas then, because all you're doing is saying no all the time. It's like when you make a suggestion or any plan and someone's always saying, that won't work, that won't work. Come up with a suggestion.
You know what it's like? It's like working with techies in the theatre.
It's exactly like working
You're like, can we get a light over here? I don't know about that, mate. It's a bit difficult. Just do it. Anyway, coming up, because we're halfway through, there's plenty more still to come. What's the worst school fundraiser ever? And which comedian regrets being funny? This is Headliners, only on GB News.
Hello again and welcome along to the latest forecast from the Met Office for GB News. Staying fine for most of us during the next 24 hours, but it will be chilly overnight, and again we'll see some frost and fog form under this area of high pressure. The high this time contains clearer skies compared with last week's high pressure, which was predominantly gloomy. That means, of course, temperatures will fall away overnight quite quickly. So frost and fog pockets forming, especially across parts of Wales, the Midlands, Northern England, Northern Ireland. At either side of that, we're going to see cloud in the south and the far northwest, tending to keep things mild, and it will be a drizzly start to the day for northwest Scotland, and there'll be showers around first thing for parts of Kent as well, 1 or 2 showers running along the south coast. With the cloud in the south, a milder start to the day, but for Wales, the Midlands, Northern England, parts of Northern Ireland, some dense pockets of fog about, likewise for central and southern Scotland. But further north into northwest Scotland, well, it's going to be a milder start to the day because of the cloud and those outbreaks of mostly light rain and drizzle. The light rain pushing into parts of Northern Ireland through the morning as well, and this area of cloud in the far northwest will tend to sink southwards slowly, and it will also turn cloudier through parts of Northern England, the Midlands and North Wales. Brighter skies to the south and southeast, a drier day to come for southeast England, and feeling pleasant enough, 11 to 12 Celsius. But into Thursday, we're going to see a cloudier start to the day. Still some pockets of fog about, not as much as previous mornings, however. And it's going to be a mainly cloudy day, I think, with some light showers affecting northwestern parts. Into Friday, a change is on the way, but it takes a good 24 to 36 hours to make its way across the country. That change to much colder weather through the weekend.
Welcome to State of the Nation, daily plunge into the stories shaping our country. I'm Jacob Rees-Mogg, and Monday to Thursday we bring you the insights, the facts, the truth about how our country is being governed. Because what happens in Downing Street matters down your street. Tune in to State of the Nation every Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Why go out on a Friday night when Friday night comes straight to your home?
Talking about?
Join me and my A-team of top pundits. Chemistry tonight is electric. As we tackle the big stories of the day with wit, insight and fearless energy.
Man of the people.
It's all vibe.
Just a filing cabinet on wheels with a tie on.
So, order in Friday Night Live with me, Mark Dolan, every Friday at 8, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Headliners with me, Andrew Doyle. It's your first look at Wednesday's newspapers. We're going to kick off this section with the Mail. Now, Kerry, have you got this one? It's about a Swedish MEP.
Yep, the Swedish MEP who's called Charlie Weimers, or is it Weimers? I don't know.
We're not.
It looks like a Weimery sort of name to me. And he's complaining about soft socialists, outdated international conventions, and what he's talking about particularly right now is this case. I don't know if you saw the video. It's a man called Karam Kanjo. He's 26, and he basically mugged a 91-year-old woman, forcing her down, like throwing her downstairs. He rolls down. I saw the video earlier. It's horrible, isn't it? It's really awful.
I mean, what a scumbag.
And people walk by.
Scumbag,
people walking by.
People, yeah, well, it does say in the story they came back to help her, so... But I didn't see that in the video. It looked like they just walked straight past her.
Yeah, but you know why?
Walks
They're
past whilst
scared.
it's happening.
They're
So.
probably scared that he's not got a knife or something like that.
Sure,
This is the problem,
but there's a 91-year-old woman being dragged downstairs to get stairs and being robbed as well. I think they need to get over that, really.
Why wasn't he sent home earlier? He's got loads and loads of convictions.
So, yes, he's been booked 19 times by police at a string of convictions since he arrived in Sweden in 2015, including for theft and rape, which he was found guilty of in May 2022. It's not a grateful way to behave, is it?
Why the hell is he there?
When a country takes you in.
I mean, seriously, why the hell is someone like this in the country at all?
It's crazy, and they're, like, asking the judge at the time, like, why didn't you immediately send him home? And she's just like, oh, I don't know, actually, I'll have to look into the reasons.
She actually said she doesn't know why she didn't do it.
It's crazy, and now he's been sentenced to 5 years. Well, first of all, why has he been sentenced? He was sentenced to 2 years for rape.
Right.
And he got out in a year, and now he's been sent... I mean, it's terrible to mug an old woman or whatever, but... It's just unbelievable. Where is the deterrent there?
So the problem in Sweden, and I was in Sweden relatively recently, I spoke to a lot of normal middle-class Swedes, and they were all so liberal and so nice, and they were basically saying, we made a mistake. They were saying, you know, we just thought that we could let as many people in from other countries, cultures that are so different, and it would all be fine. It's not fine. There's grenades going off in Stockholm.
They had the lowest crime rate in Europe before this happened.
And now it's the gun capital of the continent.
Right, so they've really messed up. It was not just the rate of migration, it was the complete failure to attempt to have people assimilate into the culture. They completely ghettoised it. In this weird fantasy idea that all human beings from all cultures are just will behave in the same way.
Well, they just thought that they'll all go to IKEA, and they'll eat some meatballs, and then it's easy peasy.
They'd be happy to be there. If someone came round to your house and behaved like this with your family, you'd throw them out. That's what anyone would do.
Yeah, but these guys haven't been throwing them out, and that's even crazier.
He did say he made a case to the court that he'd be subjected to torture and inhumane treatment if he went back home, which
good.
Yeah, well, my sympathy is limited.
If you're attacking a 91-year-old woman, then how do you even get to make such a claim?
Yeah, well, quite. OK. Well, let's move on now. This is the Mail as well. This is a Trump hush money judge. What's this about?
Trump hush money judge delays ruling on whether to throw out conviction. So obviously you've had all these court cases over the last few years, and now that he is going to be president, he's president-elect, the judges are kind of going, oh, well, maybe, maybe we'll just live and let live.
But these are the felony counts, right?
So he was found guilty of this payoff, essentially, of criminalising promoting an election of any person through illegal means. So he was found guilty of that.
But it wasn't just that. This was a misdemeanor that was beyond the statute of limitations, that was artificially elevated to the level of a felony by hooking it on to another felony.
Someone's done their research.
Well, I'm just saying that the whole thing was bogus. That was bogus to begin with. No legal scholar takes any of this seriously. It was purely political weaponisation.
So the judge was pushing back the sentencing before the election. He was saying, "Oh, I'm doing it because I don't want to seem like I'm being partial at all." So he kept on pushing it back. Of course, once he becomes president, he could just give himself a pardon, or it won't qualify for him. But I think really this judge kind of going, well, let's just see if he gets in or not.
Yeah, maybe. But I mean, the problem with this is this played into Trump's hands. He's always been saying that there's a deep state working against him. The Democrats are corrupt. Here they are manipulating the law to imprison their political opponent. It doesn't get more authoritarian.
And we're hearing more lawfare. The term lawfare being used an awful lot, where it's being used as a process in order to control someone. Right. And in fact, the more they throw at him, the more suspicious it looks on them.
It does.
Doesn't it? And the interesting thing with this one is that part of this is that the payout to Stormy Daniels was apparently $130,000, which then counts as a campaign contribution because it helps his campaign. So that's really the technicality they're getting on. And you're only really allowed to... you can't exceed $2,700, so that's not enough to silence anyone, is it, really? You wouldn't...
I would like to say that I've changed my mind on this.
Realistically.
Since he's put in loads of pro-Israel people.
There we go.
Since he's done what?
Since he put in loads of pro-Israel people, I would like to say that I've changed my mind.
Very, very easily swayed.
No, I'm pretty hardly swayed, but I don't want to be accused of being a hypocrite.
Is judicial process our theme tonight? It seems that every story is about how judges have reacted to it.
Well, let's move on to a story that isn't about judges. This is a pretty horrific story about a Scottish school. Kerry, I think you've got this.
What's going on with Scotland? It keeps being Scotland. With anything to do with these kind of things. But this is a school criticised over a chestbinder fundraiser, which I believe was some pupils came up with the idea and then got a teacher behind it.
Check that hard drive.
I think you should actually clarify what chest binders are for. It's for girls who claim that they are not girls, that they are either non-binary or male, and they wear these devices to flatten their chest. Very, very dangerous stuff. It bruises the ribs, can damage people's health very badly.
It's useful when you're playing pool, but otherwise you've got to know when to take it off.
Yeah.
So,
It increases the risk of cancer.
Does it?
Yeah.
I didn't know about that one.
Yes, apparently. I don't know how, but apparently
the risk here is actually, I mean, because this is why mermaids got in trouble, because mermaids were
giving them out for free,
giving them out without parents'
secretly,
consent. Without telling parents, right? So this is dodgy, and it's particularly dodgy that a teacher has got involved in this. You know, this shouldn't be happening at all.
And I think it was a religious teacher. I'm trying to find it here. Was it a religious teacher? I think it was.
I don't.
But which also seems odd. And the whole thing seems odd because it was a teacher's coffee morning where they pay £2.50 for a tea or a coffee, which I thought teachers get their tea or coffee, don't they? That's also kind of a bit of a disgrace.
Most schools do provide free tea and coffee. I know.
But you know what, Andrew? I think this is actually a story of how things are normalising.
Yes.
Because what happened was they put it out. For some reason, the event seems to have been held, and then teachers started saying, "What are we doing? Where's this money going?" Which was a bit late for it. But it sounds to me like everyone was against it, and then the school said,
"No, things will be returning to normal once." Teachers, kids are always going to be stupid.
No, but give this a year ago, Josh, and no one would have said it. They would have gone.
No, I think they would have said it. Yeah,
I'm saying something's changing.
Well, things have changed, maybe, but we're definitely not back to common sense, where you have the lunatics running the asylum here, where a bunch of kids are going to come up with some stupid fad thing, and any teacher with any common sense would go, "Yeah, that's not a great idea." But here, the fact they actually managed to get a teacher to get this email sent out and promote this. And
made the
horrible,
teachers pay for tea and coffee, which is really weird.
I think you're outraged.
I can't get my head around
and a sandwich. No, you got a sandwich and a biscuit.
But maybe it's just that the teachers don't know. I mean, part of the real problem in schools is that for years now, they've been bringing in these sort of external speakers from places like Stonewall, people who are going to misrepresent the law, people who don't know anything about reality, coming in, basically, they're outsourcing the whole sort of sex education element of the curriculum because they don't want to deal with that. And they've got ideologues, they've got activists.
Yeah, that is what's happened, but they don't have excuses anymore. Any head teacher should be absolutely on top of this issue now.
Yeah,
it's hard to think the head teacher didn't know anything about it.
Very strange. OK, well, we've got this one now, Josh. Telegraph. This is the police under fire for... What's this about, cyclists?
Yeah, so under fire for refusing to help cyclists retrieve stolen bikes. And there are 365,000 bike thefts, and this is just an example of two of them where... One person found her bike on Facebook or online, and another person had a little sort of thing that beep 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 radar bike.
What, where you can track it?
Track a bike thing, yeah. And basically the police didn't go around with them. Like you would think that if you can call them up and say, "Look, I've solved the crime for you. Here's the person who stole the bike. Come round with me," and the police like, "No," but they were like, "Yeah, you can go." And that story, one person nearly was threatened with being stabbed. One person, she just sort of said, "Oh, can I try this bike out?" And then she rode it off. So good for her.
Good for her, but that's vigilantism at this point.
That's it. It's like Batman.
But the police aren't actually investigating most of these sort of crimes.
No, they're too busy arresting Allison Pearson.
Well, that's it, isn't it? I mean, the priorities seem all skewed.
It feels like there's a lot of areas if you report it to the police, nothing's going to happen.
Well,
Bikes stolen, phones stolen.
I was mugged the other day. I finally got the police saying, "Oh, actually, there's nothing. We don't have any evidence," even though I sent them a photo of the camera that got the people who did it. No, they were like, "No, we can't find the evidence. We can't get the evidence." I'm like, this was the camera. That's it. They captured it.
I wonder how much of it is it's just not exciting crimes to look into. I remember this. This isn't new, but I remember this when I was a kid and my bike was stolen. I went to the police and they basically said nothing's really going to happen.
Yeah, but they're going after people for tweets. So they clearly have time to waste.
Maybe you should.
I know you're right, but I just told you my bike was stolen.
I don't care about your bike.
What the hell?
What about if you tweet? How about this? If you get your bike stolen, tweet something like, "Oh, my bike was stolen," but do something a little bit dodgy about it. No. And then the police will come round to yours, and then you'll say, "Well, you have to get the bike back as evidence to prove the bike."
I've got it, Josh. All you do is you phone up and say, "My bike's been stolen and I perceive that it was motivated by homophobia."
Nice.
That's it.
Nice one.
Right. You see?
Nice one. They're on it.
That'll work. OK, let's move on now. More concerns about the police. Kerry, this is in the Telegraph.
Mr. Police Officer, we're really doing all police and judiciary. I told you there's a theme tonight. I have no idea why this is happening, but police officer arrested on suspicion. Is that why? And you were just in a court mood today.
Yeah, just like whatever.
So it's a police officer who was arrested on suspicion of supporting Hamas. So we're going the other way now with the story, but there's no actual details on what he has done.
Well, let's not. I don't know how. We don't know if he's been charged yet or whatever. But I think this is an interesting story to see that the fact that there are police officers who can even come under suspicion of supporting. And by the way, Kerry, if you could say it properly, Hamas.
Hamas.
Yeah.
You're supposed to spit. You're supposed to make a mess.
Yeah. Wait, shouldn't supporting a terrorist group disqualify you from the police force?
You would hope.
I mean, I'm just spitballing.
But the thing is that this guy is great at finding bicycles.
Yeah.
That's why they kept him on.
OK. How do you pronounce it again?
Hamas. If you don't feel like you're not getting the throw up, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah.
OK. I mean, that's a pretty grim story. I mean, ultimately, because, you know, they've been pretty... Well, was it not the other day when we saw there was, like, a vigil for the death of the head of Hezbollah?
Yeah.
And the police were saying, oh, well, that's just their opinion. No, that's a celebration of a terrorist group.
No, I'd love to see if they do actually start arresting people for supporting Hamas, Hezbollah and Houthi and so on. But
if the police support them, then maybe not.
But do you know what? It should be, though, I really feel that people in the emergency services shouldn't be showing their political opinions, and you know, we're hearing...
Yeah, but I don't want someone working for the police who supports Hamas.
No,
it's mental.
No,
let alone a bunch of them. Who knows how many there are?
No, leave that to the UN workers. That sort of
Yeah, exactly. Very good, very good.
OK, let's move on. There's some caucus to come after the break. Who is going to make humanity extinct? And what's the genius new method for defeating a shark? This is Headliners, only on GB News.
Sunday with Michael Portillo from 11, only on GB News.
Welcome back to Sunday with Michael Portillo. Well, drinkers have been warned about a drop in the quality of French wines after poor weather conditions hit this year's grape harvest. Winemakers across France will make 240 million fewer bottles of wine this year, the country's farming ministry said on Tuesday. So should we think of switching from French to English? I'm joined now by sommelier and founder of Inflorescence Wines, Jacinta Madison-Williams. Hello, Jacinta.
Good morning.
Nice to see you. First of all, let's just think about the poor French. Has this been a fairly universal weather catastrophe for France?
It has. Kind of across the board, we're about 22% down on last year's crops, which is quite significant. I think it's like one of the 4 years over the last century that have been this low.
And it's affected both quality and quantity?
I would say more so quantity. There's always ways of counteracting quality. It depends if people are desperate to make wine. They can obviously push out more watered-down grapes. There's been a lot of rain, if you hadn't noticed. Not only in France, we felt it here too. But lots of frost, supercell hailstorms have completely wiped out some crops. So in some cases, there's nothing to make. In other cases, it's just really watered-down grapes, and you want to pick earlier to make sure you're avoiding all those rains. But I would say more so it's quantity. But saying that, France is still the biggest producer of wine in the world. It might be taken over by Spain this year, but as a consumer, don't panic. We're not going to run out of wine. And we obviously have lots of lovely wine growing here now in England. So whether we do make a little jump for a bit to English wine, but there's definitely still lots out there.
GB News, the People's Channel.
I'm Christopher Hope. From pop stars to politicians, I'll interview anybody in a pub who's got a political opinion. Join me every Friday on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube or gbnews.com, or wherever you get your podcasts. This is GB News, the People's Channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, though.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Weekdays on GB News. Wake up to breakfast every day from 6 a.m. Followed by Britain's newsroom at 9:30. At noon, it's Good Afternoon Britain. Followed by Martin Daubney from 3 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Headliners with me, Andrew Doyle. We're going to kick off this section with Wednesday's Daily Star, my favourite paper. Josh, far-left women are going to destroy humanity.
Yeah, we kind of covered this story a little bit before, but this is taking it to the next level. Relationship coach warns humanity will become extinct over new male hatred trend. This is the 4B movement originating in South Korea. The B stand for blah, 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 blah. And,
what do they stand for?
Oh, gosh. So they stand for don't have babies, no sex, no marrying, no birth, no dating, but in Korean.
OK.
And
no birth thing's a weird thing. Are they just going to keep it in?
Yes.
Because it's not just, it can be one of several things. You can still have sex with people. You've got choices. One of them is no sex with men. Another one, bihon, no marrying men. Or if you go bikulsen, that's no giving birth. So presumably you still get pregnant. But
How do you get pregnant without the sex
You just
part?
get fatter and fatter, you know?
Oh, is that what it... But surely you can't have... I don't know.
No, I don't think they have to do the whole list. They just choose... You can be any one of the bees.
Anyway, but this woman... But basically, there's this woman, she's some, psychiatrist, allegedly, relationship coach, spiritualist or whatever.
Yeah.
And she is saying that this is going to really, kill humanity, and actually it's bad for women because they deserve physical pleasure as well, which is what I tell my wife.
How will it kill humanity?
Well, because we won't have any children.
It's not like everyone's going to follow their idea.
No, and in fact, there's an argument that actually that humanity might improve by these people not breeding.
Yeah, I did say last time this came up that it would improve the gene pool a little bit, but it's everyone's been warning that if Trump gets in, it will end America. But what if it actually works and it ends America for the opposite reason, that these Democratic women refuse to have sex with men for a while, and then there is no future in America?
She says...
it's basically the stupidest way of telling men to vote Republican, isn't it?
Basically.
Yeah. But also it said women are graceful swans and men are clumsy bears. And it's so true.
It is true.
You're a bear, aren't you?
I'm not a bear.
I don't know how it works.
I don't know
how it works.
Gay parlance. The gay lingo.
Do men who are married to these women not realise it's a secret ballot and they don't have to tell them?
Oh, is that how it was? No, yes. Oh, yeah.
You don't have to say I voted Trump if she's going to behave like that.
Separate story.
You know, I've had enough of this story. Let's move on to this one. This is in the Metro. And a story about the benefits of cruising.
This is a cruise ship that's offering travellers the opportunity to skip the time where Trump is in power and come back afterwards. So it's like a 4-year cruise.
That seems really extreme to me.
Well, they start giving us some ideas of where they're staying, and I can only see like 4 months here, 4 months there, and it's basically 5 months, 8 days by the look of it. But apparently it does go on for 4 years, and it costs... For single occupancy cabin, $255,999.
Wow.
Of which you could just buy a flat and throw out the TV and avoid hearing the news.
Yeah, but Kerry, all these celebrities have said they're going to leave the country if Trump gets in. This is their way out. Now
so
they can do this.
They're going to leave. It's like their arc to escape all this.
Yeah.
But what I wonder is, can they actually refuse a MAGA person from going on the cruise? Because that's quite funny. If they go off on their cruise and just one person in a MAGA hat sits there on the deck all day.
This would be a great sitcom. I mean, this would be a great sort of series of Love Boat.
The opposite of Love Boat.
Just rich lefties. It would be kind of torturous. But
let's move on to this one in the Mirror, because this is the story that Josh has been waiting for all night.
I've been salivating over this.
Prince William crowned sexiest bald man of the year, beating Hollywood heartthrob. And they've used a bunch of criteria here, which is the golden ratio about how balanced your face is, and he's got, and also luminance, and you can see my luminance.
I'm sorry,
skills.
This article says that Prince William is sexier than Dwayne The Rock Johnson. That is objectively not true.
What about Danny DeVito? He's on the list.
He might edge it there.
Yeah,
but I just don't understand this. This idea.
Nothing about edging.
Vin Diesel.
I don't know where you brought that up, Andrew.
I don't even know what that means.
No, it's just a word I heard. They've gone through the whole way the golden ratio works and the size of the face and the shape and the colouring and so on. But my guess is what it's really about is that he's a prince.
Yeah, of course he's got a castle.
That's what I reckon is the big fact that they've left out here.
He owns...
He has a castle. When he says he's got crown jewels, he means it. He doesn't mean anything sexual or
Doesn't
otherwise.
he own, a good significant portion of the UK? You know, he's
quite a lot.
I'm just happy to see bald and sexy put together in one
And you
sentence.
felt it was about you. You felt it was affirmation.
It was nice to see someone getting some nice words said about them.
If you become a prince with a castle, then
you think I'll get to be sexy.
You can look whatever the hell you like. If you've got a castle, women will flock to you.
OK.
I know, from experience.
I will get to work on it.
OK, let's move on to the Mirror now. And this relationship wasn't destined to last.
nonsensy story of the week, really.
Yeah.
And this a shocked husband, speechless as wife, files for divorce after he voted for Trump. Now, he wrote this on social media, so presumably... It's true. This is a story about just one couple in America. It's such a non-story. It's incredible.
But it is that Trump derangement thing, isn't it? I mean,
it is the Trump derangement thing, yeah. And he's saying that she's leaving him and so on, divorcing him because he voted for Trump. Then he says... he said on social media, "What do I do?" Of which anyone sensible said, "Run." Say thank you.
I mean, she sounds crazy. She sounds absolutely nuts.
Last week we were happy. Today we were getting divorced. So, yeah, your life is an illusion, mate.
Similar thing happened to me when I voted Lib Dem.
Yeah. You've got to be careful. Well, look, I'm afraid the show is nearly over, but let's have another quick look at Wednesday's front pages. So the Daily Mail leading with the Justin Welby story, church in crisis as Welby forced to quit. The Eye has got Brown's warning to Starmer, benefit cap is trapping families in poverty. The Daily Telegraph is leading with Telegraph writer in Kafka-esque hate crime inquiry. That's the story about Allison Pearson, friend of the channel, who's been arrested for a crime, and they won't tell her what it is. Some tweet or something. The Daily Express has got my profound sense of shame at church failings. That's the Justin Welby story there as well. Metro, also with the Welby story. And the Daily Star goes a bit rogue with Nessie, the proof the Loch Ness Monster does exist. That is according to the boffins at the Daily Star, who cannot be gainsaid. That's it for tonight's show. Thanks to Josh and Carey. Simon will be here tomorrow with Steve and Leo. And if you're watching the 5am repeat, stay tuned for breakfast.
There will be a light breeze in the morning, leading to a warm front. Boxed heat pumps, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello again and welcome along to the latest forecast from the Met Office for GB News. Staying fine for most of us during the next 24 hours, but it will be chilly overnight, and again we'll see some frost and fog form under this area of high pressure. The high this time contains clearer skies compared with last week's high pressure, which was predominantly gloomy. That means, of course, temperatures will fall away overnight quite quickly. So frost and fog pockets forming, especially across parts of Wales, the Midlands, Northern England, Northern Ireland. At either side of that, we're going to see cloud in the south and the far northwest, tending to keep things mild, and it will be a drizzly start to the day for northwest Scotland, and there'll be showers around first thing for parts of Kent as well, 1 or 2 showers running along the south coast. With the cloud in the south, a milder start to the day, but for Wales, the Midlands, Northern England, parts of Northern Ireland, some dense pockets of fog about, likewise for central and southern Scotland. But further north into northwest Scotland, well, it's going to be a milder start to the day because of the cloud and those outbreaks of mostly light rain and drizzle. The light rain pushing into parts of Northern Ireland through the morning as well, and this area of cloud in the far northwest will tend to sink southwards slowly, and it will also turn cloudier through parts of Northern England, the Midlands and North Wales. Brighter skies to the south and southeast, a drier day to come for southeast England, and feeling pleasant enough, 11 to 12 Celsius. But into Thursday, we're going to see a cloudier start to the day. Still some pockets of fog about, not as much as previous mornings, however. And it's going to be a mainly cloudy day, I think, with some light showers affecting northwestern parts. Into Friday, a change is on the way, but it takes a good 24 to 36 hours to make its way across the country. That change to much colder weather through the weekend.
We can expect clear skies, leading to a light and warm day ahead. Lovely. Boxed Solar, sponsors of weather on GB News.
There's only 2 weeks remaining to win Christmas on Us this year. First, we'll give you £20,025 in tax-free cash. Then we'll give you £5,000 to spend on all of your Christmas presents, with a further £500 in vouchers to spend at your favourite supermarket. Finally, a GB News Christmas goodie bag. You'll get it all in time for the big day. For another chance to win, call 0903 681 3232. Calls cost £2 plus your network access charge. Text cash to 63232. 63232. One entry costs £2 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63232. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. You can enter online at gbnews.com/win. Entries start from just £2, or post your name and number to GB09 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 6 p.m. on the 22nd of November. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
Hi there, I'm Michelle Dewberry and I'm going to take a second to tell you all about my show, Dubes & Co. We start off with the issues of the day. We then bring in both sides of the argument. We get rid of the disrespect. And then you throw me into the mix. And trust me, I'll tell it exactly how it is. And then, of course, the magic ingredient, you at home. We mix it all together, and what have we got? In my opinion, the best debate show in town. Monday to Friday, 6 till 7 on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Camilla Tominey, for a frank and honest discussion with those in power that cuts through the spin and gets to the heart of the issues shaping our nation.
You haven't confirmed that you want to stand as leader, but you haven't ruled it out either.
This report basically says that he's not fit to stand trial. Is he indecisive? Incompetent?
I deliver the dose of reality Westminster needs.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show at 9:30 every Sunday on GB News.
The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently.
It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it?
It's explosive.
I mean, this is very good.
It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and it did nothing.
It's controversial.
And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born.
It's everything you need to kickstart your evening.
Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it.
That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Why go out on a Friday night when Friday night comes straight to your home?
Talking about?
Join me and my A-team of top pundits. Chemistry tonight is electric. As we tackle the big stories of the day with wit, insight and fearless energy.
Man of the people.
It's all vibe. Just a filing cabinet on wheels with a tie on.
So, order in Friday Night Live with me, Mark Dolan, every Friday at 8, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
A very good evening to you. It's 7 p.m. and welcome to the Farage Show on GB News with me. I'm Martin Dorby, standing in for the big man Nigel Farage tonight. On tonight's show, Justin Welby announces his resignation as the Archbishop of Canterbury after mounting pressure from both within the church and the country at large over revelations that he failed to disclose information about child abuse in the Church of England. Is it too little, too late, or is the Church of England about to get the great reset that it so desperately needs? And the first draft of the controversial assisted dying bill was published yesterday as supporters reaffirmed the legitimacy and robustness of safeguards within it. Would they be enough not only to protect the most vulnerable but also to win over critics and become law? Well, Richard Tice, the Deputy Leader of the Reform UK Party, who is voting in favour of this controversial motion, he joins me in just a moment. And MPs are voting this evening on whether to remove hereditary peers from the House of Lords, with the 92 who do remain being the only ones to be elected to the upper chamber. Is this a necessary progression of democracy or a gratuitous socialist act of class warfare? And at COP29, the pointless COP29, the Azerbaijani president blasted Western nations for hypocrisy, buying his gas while preaching climate action, and even called fossil fuels a gift from the gods. With only Keir Starmer representing major Western leaders, is this a wake-up call on the UK's net zero agenda? Now, that's an action-packed menu, but before all of that, here's your headlines, and it's Sophia Reaper.
Thank you, Martin. It's just after 7 o'clock. Let's take a look at your latest GB News headlines. In the last couple of hours, a spokesperson for Avon and Somerset Police has given a statement following the death of a 17-year-old girl on the M5 motorway last night. Let's take a listen to what they had to say.
This is a hugely distressing incident and one that will no doubt cause great shock amongst the public. Our thoughts and our sympathies are first and foremost with the girl's family. A specially trained officer has been assigned to keep providing them with updates and support, not only today but in the weeks ahead too. Due to the seriousness of the incident, a mandatory referral was made to the Independent Police Office for Police Conduct in the early hours of the morning. The IOPC has notified us that they will investigate the incident independently.
A spokesperson for the Prime Minister has said that Sir Keir respects the decision of the Archbishop of Canterbury to resign. Justin Welby stepped down earlier this afternoon following a damning report into a prolific child abuser associated with the Church of England. The reports concluded that Welby had failed to act after learning about the abuse by John Smythe QC in 2013. Terminally ill adults who are expected to die within 6 months would be able to request assistance to end their own life under the proposed end-of-life bill. But someone with a disability or mental health issues would not be eligible. The controversial bill has raised some concerns that people could feel pressured into ending their lives prematurely. MPs will have their first vote on the proposal on the 29th of November. A once-a-day pill that could help tens of thousands of people give up cigarettes and prevent thousands of smoking-related deaths each year will be rolled